lot of these young players get agents thinking they're going to find them a club, not how it works. You need to find a club and you need to do the work. You need to play. I don't think they're there with a magic wand to put you into a club. That's not what an agent's for. Certainly not at the lower level.
What do I need to do as a footballer to get opportunities in England?
Networking, reaching out to people.
What does that mean?
Promoting your brand. I think like using social media like LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, reaching out to people maybe like myself and asking questions and just networking as much as you can. I think having a good CV is important. I think having good clips is important as well.
If my manager is telling me you're not good enough, what do you see as like a common characteristic in the players that are successful after that feedback?
Good body language. Positive, get on with it, ask the right questions, continue to try and get better. That's the most uncommon characteristic I see, but that is the characteristic you need to see.
What will make you sign a player?
Proven level will be a big factor. Their style would be a big factor.
One quality every pro must have.
Dealing with failure.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Select Generation podcast. Today, as you can probably tell, we are in a new studio. We are in London. The logo stays the same, obviously. Today we've got Ross McNeilly on. He's got a really interesting story. We're just talking a little bit off camera. I was at a camp in Guildford, close to where I live in the UK, in England. And I recognised Ross's face from one of the training sessions. I was like, hey Ross, I think I recognise you from the camp you were coaching at. And we've been texting a little bit online. And he also has experience in the US. So I think today's episode is going to be interesting, not only because of Ross's football background, but his perspective working with international players that are predominantly probably the ones that are listening to this episode. So first off, Ross, just thank you for your time being here today.
Yeah.
For someone that's listening to this episode that maybe sees your title, sees your experience, but doesn't really know who you are, what you're about, how would you introduce yourself to the podcast to explain your story to the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently the B team lead at Bromley. Previously, sort of head coach at Dorking Wanderers, interim first team manager at Aldershot for just under a season, and before that, predominantly youth development, academy manager at Aldershot, and 21s lead at Aldershot, and 18. So my background is working with young players, probably mostly in the sort of YDP to PDP professional development phase, but I prefer to work in the professional development phase, and that's where I think I sort of do my best work.
So what is the PDP? What is that?
Yeah, good question. So that is sort of 17 to 21 years, that phase where players are moving from obviously under 16s academy football into a games programme, or a phase where there is a bit more sort of not reliance, but a bit more focus on results, preparing players.
So transitioning from youth to men's football?
Pretty much, and probably, but with that being the gap, isn't it? So like my job really in that phase is to keep developing them, keep working with them. Nothing changes in terms of that, individual focus, and working with young players as you would normally, but also preparing them for the journey ahead, which whether that is for like my current role in Bromley first team or higher, or for many non-league, which might be step 3, step 4, step 5, step 2. So preparing them for that. So obviously giving them a sort of robust games programme, being quite sort of, I'm going to say firm but tough with them in terms of what is next for them, and preparing them for a future in the game, really, whatever that may look like.
So for you would you say you're more of a manager, a mentor, a coach, or all of them?
I would say all of them. I can tell you what I enjoy doing the most. I'm not saying whether I'm the best at it, but I enjoy coaching. I like having a group of players and then trying to sort of like imprint my ideas and my identity onto them.
How would you say is your philosophy as a coach, the way you like to play?
Mixed. No, what I would say is we are. So I look at the Bromley team we've got now, which I think is quite a good reflection of me. We're very organised out of possession. We'll press high. We'll generally. I like a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. I think it allows lots of options to move into a back three, whether that's a sort of 3-5-2, 3-box-3. It also helps us being compact out of possession. I think like key principles are compactness, hard work, high pressing, And then things like our detail on where we're going to show players. And then in possession, again, I like to play, so things like working players with side rotations, rotating into different systems, or plus ones on the back line, and just being front foot, playing forward, being aggressive, runs in behind, that type of thing.
So I'm interested because you've obviously been at different clubs in your career. You've not been at one club for your whole coaching career. Do you struggle when you go to a new club if they have a different philosophy, or are clubs approaching you, or you going to new clubs based on the way that you play and they play? Like, for example, if you step into a new team, or you're coaching at a new club and they play a different philosophy, how do you cope with that?
Yeah, I mean, that is part and parcel of the job, basically. If you go to work for different clubs, different academies, different first teams, you have to fit into their sort of like ideology. And sadly, as a coach, unless you're like the head coach or first team manager, you're going to have to find a way to sort of like fit into that. I mean, picking clubs or being at clubs that are very I guess flexible or sort of match your philosophy is good. Like I'm at Bromley at the minute. I mean, if you think about the first team, they are heavily reliant on set pieces. They're very well organised out of possession, very aggressive out of possession. So I like those things, but necessarily creating players for that environment doesn't necessarily mean having to exactly play that way. We just need to make sure we match some of, or if not as many of the principles as we can that they follow, and that will sort of like support the players as much as possible.
With players transitioning from youth academy to the first team, so the PDP phase, what are the biggest challenges in that stage of a player's development for you as a coach?
So from like under 16s to PDP, game understanding, problem solving.
What do you mean by that specifically?
Yeah, so like just managing moments in the game, or being able to solve problems, like for example, when to press, when not to press, when to play out, when not to play out. I think at academy level we can be very driven and press, or very focused on play out at every opportunity. I don't think that's the game at all. I think the game needs to have variety, and from basic things around like what are the triggers we press off, and when do we play out? Do we play out in the full presses? If we do, what does that look like? And I think teaching players to solve those problems or be ready to solve those problems is something that you massively need to sort of like bridge the gap with.
So what would a situation be where a player can't solve a problem? Or what would be a situation where you're trying to solve problems and the manager for the first team says, hey, Ross, I need a player. Why wouldn't you send him to the first team?
A bit of a well, I mean, we want to try and send as many as we can. We want to give players opportunity, but you don't know who's going to thrive in that environment. That's another problem. If I knew the answer to that question, I'd probably be a multi-millionaire. But I think you've got to test players. But how do you know that they're ready, physically, mentally? You can only gauge what they do in front of you. But we played a game last night. It was away at Walthamstow, and we won 1-0. But we weren't very young. We were young, but managing the last 20 minutes of that game was tough.
Why?
Well, I would have got more. I'd have got compact quicker. Like if I was in that game, I'd have played longer. I'd have played territory, played some areas, made them take throws in there, defensive third, and we just didn't.
Well, I want to talk about this because this is something that I've realised recently since being in the UK. I grew up with all of this terminology, even just like bounce or territory, hit an area, channel, box them in.
Yeah.
And when I went to the US, I realised, and even now working with American players, they don't have these terminologies. They don't really understand what they mean.
Yeah.
Managing a game, they're like, what do you mean manage a game?
Yeah.
Like, we're winning 2-1, let's go score another goal.
Yeah.
Whereas in England, or generally speaking from my experience, it's been, okay, managing a game, sit, be compact, waste time, how you talk to the referee, how you talk to the linesman, kicking the ball out, or tactical fouls.
Yeah.
So for someone that is completely new to football and doesn't understand managing a game, how do you put it in really simple terms?
Well, first and foremost, you said there that we do it over here. I don't massively think we do. But I think the terminology is there, and I think a lot of the issues young players get going into non-league is the desire to like play every moment and like get on the ball and but I don't massively think they can make that transition into doing those things. Like the game again yesterday was the pitch was bobbly, it was horrible, and they were shelling it, and it was long, and we just needed to like hook more and defend better, and yeah, just having those capabilities to do that. But to put it in simple terms, it's more like the dark arts, isn't it, or seeing a game out, and how to do that against teams who just want to put it in the box and turn you round and sort of like get you running back to goal is easier said than done with young players, I think.
If the first team coach came to you and said, Ross, I really need a player for training today, what would make you, I know obviously you don't know if he's going to be successful or if it's going to work out, but why, like let's say that there's one player in the team that you're like, okay, I trust that player and I'm going to send him.
Yeah.
Why do you trust that player?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some, for you again, use Bromley Bay, we've got some excellent players in there who are certainly more than ready to like attempt the step up. So things that I would probably look for is how good are they, like technically and tactically. So we've got a couple of really good young players at the minute. George Penn, Sam German, Nathan Paul Laverley, really good young players. Alex Stepien, who I'm needing.
Why are they good?
They are a little bit more mature. They're good on the ball. George Penn, I'll highlight George. He plays forward. He wins his duels. He's very aggressive. Knows when to be aggressive. Knows when not to be aggressive. So he, in terms of putting him in a first team environment, can add real value. I think if I was giving a young player like advice going into that environment, you've got to go and impact it. You've got to be like, you can't just go in there and be quiet and be sheepish and sort of like let it pass you by. You've got to go and have an impact.
So I understand what you mean, but someone might be listening to this like, yeah, of course, I'm going to the first team, I've got to make an impact. That's easy advice, but what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, play forward, be aggressive, get on the front foot, win your duels, like communicate, be a leader, don't let it pass you by, like don't just play backwards. I think a lot of young players nowadays play sideways, play backwards. Got into the habit of watching what we might think is acceptable, but the game is about scoring goals, and the game is about playing forwards and being on the front foot and taking risks and being brave. And if you want to do those things, I think you stand a lot better chance. But I think it all comes back. We can say all those things. I've got players who are technically exceptional, but their ability to solve problems, their ability to do maybe like the other side of the game, like recovery runs and get in, is not as strong.
So for you, Ross, you obviously worked a lot in non-league and also in the Football League. For someone listening to this that doesn't understand that level, they're like, I only watch the Premier League, maybe I watch the playoff final of the Championship. Like Aldershot Town, is that professional, is that semi-pro? Like how, like a Bromley, who even is that? And they maybe think that it's like 5th, 6th, 7th division in England. That's not professional. That's not a good level. I want to play the Premier League. Like how would you describe the level of football that you've been involved in non-league?
Yeah, so obviously down to National League, which is Aldershot, is professional football. That's called Step 1. So like National League and up is Step 1, and then National League South and North is Step 2, and then Step 3, Step 4, so forth. I mean, I've got boys in with me at the minute who are in my B team and have played in the first team, who've played for Arsenal. And then I had my skipper at Aldershot was Joe Parton, who played for Bournemouth in like the I think like League One. And then I had like Ollie Pendlebury, who played like 15 times for Reading in the Championship. So I think the football moves fast in England, and the National League in particular, and is littered with boys coming out of Man City, Arsenal, Cat 1 clubs. Because all those Cat 1 academy players aren't going to play for Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Spurs.
How do you compete with those players if you've not been there for 15 years?
How do you keep competing? What do you mean by that one?
So, for example, I'm at Bromley and I'm trying to make it as a professional footballer, and then I get to 15, 16, and all these boys get released from Arsenal and Chelsea. How do I compete with those players?
Very hard, very difficult. I mean, I think I do like a player on the rise. I think that is a thing, and by that I mean like I think we might even talk about it a bit later. But resilience and mentality are a big part of football, and a lot of young players aren't, I believe, resilient enough or tough enough.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
I think they give up. Like first sign of failure, I think it's I'm done. I can't deal with this. I don't know how to manage it. Some boys coming out of Arsenal, for example, and clubs that coming into Bromley is like, wow, like, do you know what I mean? I've had the best.
But they feel a bit entitled that they deserve.
Yeah, entitled maybe. But I think dealing with failure is the biggest success. I think these boys who you see now doing well at the top, like Ezzy is a great example of dealing with failure. Look where he is now. Look where he was. I mean, he didn't even get. He went on trial after trial after trial, and that's probably an extreme example. But I think if you look at like young players coming down into clubs like Bromley, I think that is very often and very common. And managing to deal with that failure or that resilience to deal with that, I think is a real challenge for young players. And then we've got boys on the rise. We've got boys coming through Bromley who are getting better and better and better and better. I used to always have it at Aldershot. You'd be in the 21s and you'd have a 19-year-old who's been with Aldershot since he was 11 or 9, and he's the best player in the group. And then you get a boy at Spurs, which has happened, and he's better than him. And you're like, how's that even a thing? And he's just going past him, but he's on the rise and he's going up, and he'll end up playing for Aldershot first team. And crazy.
It's interesting because the more I speak to people, the more I realise that being successful in football is a lot about mentality, and being resilient and being hardworking and driven. And I think one of the topics that we talk about a lot on here is like hard work. And I think hard work means different things to different people, and I think that hard work is like a non-negotiable. Like for you to ask me like what advice do you give to a player, and I say, oh, hard work. Like, that should be like anyone should work hard, right? And I think it's more about the mentality of when you have a setback, when you're dealing with failure, if you're get left out of the team, if you're on the bench, if you're not in the squad, if you get released from a club, like what are you going to do? You can do it two ways. You can be sorry for yourself, go drink, go party, go eat loads of rubbish food and give up, or you can use it as fuel to go and motivate yourself to get better. So if I get dropped, if I go through a tough patch, if my manager is telling me you're not good enough, what do you see as like a common characteristic in the players that are successful after that feedback?
Good body language, positive, get on with it. Ask the right questions, continue to try and get better. That's probably the most common characteristic I see. No, it's not the most common characteristic I see. That's the most uncommon characteristic I see. But that is the characteristic you need to see. I think. How
do I get better at that? Because if I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, oh, I just got some feedback and I was actually miserable and I didn't have good body language, how do I bring that out of myself?
Probably harder said than done, isn't it? We all do it, don't we? I mean, I can think of many times where I've done it myself, and maybe you've even done it yourself as well. You've got to make sure you've got good positive body language. I think that says a lot about a person. Even when you're playing well or not playing well, I think you've got to have good body language. I think speaking to people, getting constant feedback is good. Ask the question. I think regardless of like whether it's positive or negative, like dealing with it in a sort of positive manner, I guess, or dealing with the manner to get better. But I think it's hard. Like it's really hard. Like we as adults struggle to do it. So we're asking like 16, 17, 18-year-olds to do it.
How do you as a coach create a culture in your team where players feel like they can ask questions and you're not going to kill them? How do you create a good culture?
I might say I do, but then players might disagree. Do you know what I mean? I think as well we've got to be really careful in professional development phase, because you can be almost too sort of kind. Does that make sense? They're going to go into an environment where I listened to Wayne Rooney podcast the other day, a great story where they went out. You might have listened to it, where they went out in the semi-final at Portsmouth.
Yes.
And the treble was on in Ferguson, and beat them for 2 weeks. And now that's Alex Ferguson, who's like we associate like great leadership and top psychology with. And a lot of these young players are probably going to go into an environment where people don't like confrontation, people don't want to have those hard discussions, people just don't want to speak to people who aren't playing well or don't have any time for someone who's not playing well, and or themselves are under so much pressure and stress that they just don't have the time or the wherewithal to do it. So these young players are going to go into that environment, and I've been a first team manager. It feels a very lonely job at times, and speaking to players and doing X, Y, Z is really, really hard. So they're going to go into that environment, and I think we need to be careful of almost like, well, here we can offer you loads of feedback and we can be really kind and we can be really nice and be like, and then they go on there and like suddenly struggle. Well, the gaffer's not speaking to me. Gaffer's not spoken to me in 2 weeks. Just didn't tell me why I'm left out of the team, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid that is the environment.
So how do you fix that?
You've got to prepare them for it. I think you've got to prepare them for it, and that's probably why you asked me how do I do it. I probably have learned a little bit. I will always answer a player if he asks, but I think sometimes not speaking to players is good. I think sometimes preparing them for that is good. I think sometimes speaking to certain individuals is good. I get it. Like we've got a couple of young players in non-league on loan at the minute at Step 4 and struggling to deal with not being in a team, not getting enough minutes. And what a great learning experience. What a great learning experience, because I've never had to do it before. Because their environment has been,
He's the best player at the
I'll get 50% playing time regardless. Do you know what I mean? So like whether I'm not playing very well, like my under 18s lead or my under 16s lead will tell me how good I am and what I need to do to fix to get better, and sit down and show me some clips, and next week I'll start because I'll get more game time, and it works out, everyone gets the same playing time. And suddenly now I'm in an environment where I haven't played for 4 weeks. I'm just sat on the bench watching.
And for those players that are successful with that and getting back into the team, what are they doing? How are they dealing with that?
Most not very well. I think I like...
Or what advice would you give to a player that's going through that?
Just as quick as you can play badly and not be in a team, you can play well and be in a team.
That's true.
Yeah, just as quick. Again, I've got another young player at the minute who was excellent pre-season, and he fell out of a little bit of form, and it was almost the end of the world. But I was just like, just as quick as you were the superstar. Like, you cannot be the super. It's okay to that to happen. You've just got to be sort of like resilient and like manage the things that or control the things you can control, which is don't sulk, don't mope, have good body language, be as good as you can be, turn up on time, make sure that you're there, and I'm sure that an opportunity will arise, because it really, really does in non-league, because people are at work and people get injured, and people go on 3 or 4 games losing streaks and change the team. So there will be loads of opportunities. You just got to make sure that you're in the best frame of mind when you're ready for it. Which, if I could help every young player do that, I probably would. But it is hard. It is hard. You've got to just try and keep reinforcing that message.
If I'm a player, and I get a lot of this, players like asking me for feedback, right? And you're always obviously trying to give feedback and replying to players and stuff. But at some point it gets annoying. It's like for example, 30 minutes after a game, you're saying to me, "Hey coach, what could I have done better?"
Yeah, I've not even processed the game myself.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
And players are, "Hey coach, what do you think I could do better?" And I'm just like,
But they might run into a manager one day who sees that as a negative. And I'm not saying they're right, by the way. I don't think they're right. I think they are wrong. I think a manager should always respond and be open and be kind. But
as a player, how do you know when reaching out to the coach is a good moment and reaching out to the coach you're being annoying?
Yeah, again, it's like anything, that just through maturity, through learning and through maybe growing up a little bit, but it's sort of like we've come full circle where it's been in that academy sort of group, isn't it, where we're asking players to be creative, open, brave, honest, and as soon as they get into like a senior football environment, all those things sort of go out the window. And we want players who don't make mistakes, we want players who don't take risks, we want players who listen to instructions, and we want players who don't annoy the manager, and then suddenly we're in a completely different world, and we're preparing them. Are we preparing them for that world? I'm not quite sure we are. Yeah, tough though. It's tough too, because you want to do all of it. You want to do all of it.
How do you... What is the difference between being... Because you've been a first team manager and assistant coach. What's the difference between the two roles?
Well, first team manager is more designation. Like I found myself at Aldershot probably the least I'd coached ever. Mainly because I had an assistant and a sort of a lead coach who predominantly did all of the work, and I was more like speaking to players, doing maybe the key tactical stuff, and then obviously going into Dorking, I did a lot more coach. I say a lot more coaching. There was a lot of staff, so I did more coaching. Certainly more like technical stuff. I found like to probably join them both together. Found the Saturday game, Sunday rest, Monday rest, Tuesday game, Wednesday rest, Thursday match prep, Thursday rest, Friday match prep, Saturday game. I found that quite challenging.
Why?
Just match prep.
Because you have 2 games a week? Or?
Yeah, 2 games a week. It was just constantly prepping for games. And that's not developing players.
And how...
Or a style.
And why did you... But if you're match prepping, surely you are developing a style.
No, you are developing a style, but it's hard to develop it. So again, Aldershot, for example, we went in like 15 games into a season, and we were Saturday, Tuesday for the first 4 weeks. So like development style is like, and you look at Anna Rim at the minute, like him developing a style, it took him. He went on the top level. So having a distinct style over that short space of time, which we sort of got, was really difficult. But I would rather, me personally, I'd rather coach young players. I'd rather do like things like transition games.
That's more rewarding for you.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think I probably use the example of if I was in the first team, my objective is to win Saturday, Tuesday, and match prepping and
It's essential.
Is the most important thing. Preparing the players to win those games.
So for someone that's listening to this, it's like that maybe hasn't had match prep before. What is match prep? Like, what are you doing in a match prep session?
Yeah, and I would just follow on that though as well. Like for example, like on beat, if I'm doing an academy team, match prep's then not important, is it? Because
you're trying to
because I can just like me winning that game on Saturday is irrelevant. So I could literally, if I think we need to be better, we need to be, I don't know, more compact, or my fullback needs to work his side rotation better. I could just do that all week, and we go into the game on Saturday. And that's our focus. Our focus is, okay, we've been working on being more compact as a back four, or we've been working on our right back on a side rotation. So on Saturday, what does that look like? So that we could have just implemented that. Whereas then, again, your answer to your match prep, that might be, we're going to be really light, so we're not going to want to cover much ground. So everything is going to need to be tight spaces. So a general match prep day for me will be, we'd probably have a team meeting. Around what it looks like the next day, and then that will be some probably opposition analysis, maybe probably the day before, but opposition analysis and us, what are we going to do, and then we'd go out and we'd do that. We'd put that into practice. So if they, for example, are a 4-3-3 and we're a 4-3-3, so I might start with a dynamic warm up. My S&C coach would do it. Probably then do some team shape, or maybe do a technical passing practice just to get the ball moving. And then do some team shape, and that might be things like 4-3-3 v 4-3-3. They jump the centre midfielder to make it man-to-man. Okay, do that. What do we do now? So almost dealing with the what-ifs of the problems we might get. So like performance problems, you might call them. And again, flip it on the other side. We might do the same. If we jump a man or we press, then they do X, Y, Z, or how do we press their shape? Probably do that for 20, 25 minutes. Then maybe do, if we've got time, might do a finishing practice, again relating to like some of how we might finish against them. So if they got a back five, put back five in. If they've got a back four, might be like looking for like spaces between their full back and centre back that we think we can exploit, for example. And then finish with some small sided games. But again, all real reduced load, probably around 3 or 4K, and then cool down done. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
So,
but a heavy session on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, you might be able to get up to like 7, 8, 9K, and do big 11v11s and do high intensity.
So at that level, the professional level, what is I know we touched on it a little bit, but like, what as a head coach, what are you doing? Is the assistant coach planning the session? Are you just focusing on the tactical? Are you just focusing on making sure the players are happy?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a head coach and assistant coach?
So I would probably I would probably plan the morning, and then I would delegate some roles. So my SSC would do the warm up, my assistant coach might do the technical bit, and I might do the sort of like tactical shape, and then my assistant coach then might come together and do a small side of game. So we might do it like that, or we might do some separate unit work.
And I wanted to touch on like recruitment too, because a lot of the like Select Generation, we're an agency, so we're helping players like get to the next level. And a lot of the questions I always get is like, how do I get a trial at Aldershot? How do I get a trial at Poole Town? How do I get a trial at Guildford? All of these clubs. From your experience, let's say that I'm a player coming to you like, hey Ross, I really want to play at a higher level.
Yeah.
What do I need to do as a footballer to get opportunities in England?
Yeah. So like anything, networking, reaching out to people.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so it means like promoting your brand. So I think like using social media like LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. So getting on those, probably being either showing clips or asking questions or reaching out to people maybe like myself and asking questions and just networking as much as you can. I think you need to do that. I think having a good CV is important. I think having good clips is important as well. I think like I get a lot of CVs and they're not very good.
What is a not good CV?
Lots of pages, just text, no images, not put together very well. I think if you can keep it on 1 or 2 pages, I think if it's colourful, if it's organised, if it's not just like bullet points, I think that looks a bit.
It's difficult to read.
Yeah, and then you get clips of players, and I know Veal's great because we've got clips of everything, but sometimes you'll get a clip of a player like who's a right winger on the far side of a Veal, and you're like, what am I even watching here? So I think that as well, making sure whatever clips you put together is clear and is in focus as best as you can, and if it's not in focus, if it's not clear, just don't put it in.
So let's say that I am a 17, 18-year-old player, right? I'm playing non-league and I want to play at high level football. I've made my CV, I've got a good highlight video. How do I get offers? How do I get trials?
Yeah, and again, just like it's like, how do I get jobs? Like for me, isn't it? It's the same question, isn't it? I went in and watched sessions. I networked with people. I went for coffees with people. So if I think about it,
but why did they reply to you? Because
I've probably got experience and I've got my qualifications and I've probably got a decent enough background. But I've also known quite a few people in the game who managed to help me out. So I just think you've got to reach out to people. But I would also I think we're probably talking about things to do around how we can get there. But the only way you're going to get there is like I've still got a coach. Do you know what I mean? If I was to look back at my career, probably I've coached from such a young age, and it's all I've ever done. So I think the same can be said for footballers. Is I get the question all the time around. There's so many players like I've got now that are waiting for step 3 or waiting for step 4, and they'd be better off just go and play step 5. Like just go and play games, go and get experience. Like the only way you're going to be able to build that CV of any sort of worthwhile or build any experience is by just going and playing and
being proven.
Yeah, but not even proven, just going and getting minutes and going and doing something of doing something worthwhile. Like I get so many CVs and they've like never played men's football or they've never, do you know what I mean? And like, well, I don't know what to say. Yeah, I can't help you. Yeah, like my advice is going to be what my advice is to everybody is just go and play. Is there a team around you? Can you get there? What level is it? Just go and play for them. Yeah. And if it's step 6 and 5, amazing. If it's step 4 and 3, amazing. And then you'll get minutes and what will be, will be.
How important is having an agent?
Depends why you've got one. I think.
Why would having an agent be useful and not useful?
So if you're top level professional footballer and you need someone to negotiate contracts and you need someone to support you with moves, then you need an agent. But you also might need one, if you're a top level footballer, to find you loans or find you moves and orchestrate moves and whatever. But I think, like, again, a lot of these young players get agents thinking they're gonna find them a club. That's not how it works. You need to find a club, and you need to do the work. You need to play, and the agent will be just there to support that move. I don't think they're there with a magic wand to put you into a club. That's not what an agent's for. Certainly not at the lower levels.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
It is a good point. So, for example, let's say that you're the Aldershot first team manager. In terms of dealing with recruitment, how do not specifically Aldershot, but how do teams at that level, from your experience, find players? Are they going and scouting? Is it from the youth team? Is it through agents they're calling? How do professional clubs find players and source their roster?
Yeah, probably easier than you think, because there is like things like transfer room, where players who are available for loan, players who are available for transfer are on. All professional clubs generally send out circulars like players available for loan, players available for transfer, and then you have like all of the agents of all of those professional players trying to get their players constant moves and constant pay rises. So finding players and linking in with players, and then also you've got players who've played with players. So like, he's doing well, he wants out XYZ. So the sort of merry-go-round of the professional game is probably a little bit easier than you think. I think the biggest challenge I had at Aldershot was not necessarily the amount of players, was the right players. That's probably the hardest part.
Right.
But who's the right player? I've got 6. I want a centre forward. He's 15. All right, there's 15 centre forwards. They've all played in the league. They've all done X, Y, Z. They've all scored loads of goals. Who's the right player for this football club? Yeah. So generally, having the mindset or the ability to then get that right, who fits into your system, your style, that area, that community. So probably the hardest part.
So let's say that you want to find a striker at Aldershot. Do you, let's say you're looking on the transfer room, right, and you've got 10 CVs in front of you. What will make, as a manager, first team manager, what will make you go and message that player, hey, I want to sign you? Is it because they have a good video, because they have a proven level? Is it because you've interviewed them 3 times on a call and they're the right person? What will make you sign a player?
Proven level would be a big factor. Their style would be a big factor. If we're going to press, we want someone who can move. If we need someone who can run in behind, we might want someone who can run in behind. So their style would be key, but their experiences will be massive. I think when I went into Aldershot, I think there was a lot of like noise around. Oh, he's young, he doesn't know any players. That is just not the problem. The problem is can you get good players for cheap? So that helps with your connections, and also can you have the understanding of what good players to get, which is the real hardest part. I think we brought in like Tyler Frost when I was there, who was really suited what we want to do. But I'd known Tyler, or known of Tyler through Reading and whatnot for quite a while. Like Haji Minogo came in as well. Like we knew about him, and they both were like quite young players, but they really suited what we did. They're full of energy, dynamic, can move, good on the ball. So that made it easy. But then you do make some mistakes with bringing some certain players in. But that is life, I guess.
What's the difference between professional, semi-pro, and amateur in England?
So obviously professional step 1, so full time. I mean, National League South and National League North are step 2, but there's probably 50% of them are full time football clubs now. So all the way down to step 2 now is mad. And then step 3 is what you would call semi-pro, down to like step 6, and then below that I assume will be the amateur.
In terms of like the playing styles.
It's going to be in the air all the time. It's going to be in the air all the time. Predominantly that is down to pitches. It is changing a little bit because you get more 3Gs now in non-league, but there is still a lot of grass-heavy pitches and a lot of long direct play. I would say the lower you are, the more direct it's going to be, the less dynamic it's going to be, and the more head and kick it's going to be, and the more you go up the levels, certainly getting to like League 1 and above, it's going to be a lot more on the deck. But it is sort of grown a little bit in terms of how teams play.
For a player to move from amateur to semi-pro, and for a player to move from semi-pro to pro, what do they need to be doing? What characteristics do they need to have?
Well, first, it's very, very. It does happen. It's very rare, but it does happen. I mean, they need to obviously be a good footballer. They need to be technically and tactically good, which is back to what we said. Again, you tend to find those boys who do really well at the younger levels. Of like, I think what's the boy who went to play for Swindon? Who was like non-league, Jake Tabor, is it maybe? I don't know. But he was playing like Step 5 and he got moved to Swindon, which is a massive jump. But probably just because he was in at Step 5, scoring goals, getting loads of minutes, doing really well, and got himself a decent move, which is unbelievable, really. But like I said, they are few and far between, but it does happen. It does happen. There's another boy, Ethan Archer. He's another one. Played Three Bridges, Step 4. Young winger, athletic, raw, very aggressive. Like always on the front foot. Always wanted to make things happen. He was like 18, playing Step 4, and I think he was at Cheltenham. I think he just got a move somewhere. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's playing at League One now.
So why would that happen to him? Just because he's got ability? Or?
Yeah, you got to be good. You got to be good. Though I can't tell you how good the National League South is. Can't say how good it is.
Really?
Yeah, they're like Dorking Wanderers, who I was at, are in the National League South. They're full time. They are one of they've got boys in there. James McShane, who is unbelievable. They've got
why? Because he does things with the
technically,
ball.
tactically solve problems. Can't get the ball off him. Strong, knows the game. Movement, timing, exceptional. And he could easily play higher. Charlie Carter's in that group. Charlie Carter's played for Stevenage, I think.
Played for Woking, didn't he?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, excellent. What a player he is. Yeah. Dynamic, athletic, strong, physical. Can carry the ball. Scores goals. Arrives in the box well. He's playing National League South. He's unbelievable. Yeah.
What's been your biggest challenge as a football coach in your career?
Yeah, good question. What has been the biggest challenge? I mean, obviously going into Aldershot as the first team manager was tough, but very enjoyable. I think that's probably the biggest challenge. I think, do you know what? Like, I'm now thinking out loud. Going into Aldershot Academy was hard. Like hard. Like,
why?
I went in because it was a mess. Basically, it wasn't a mess, but it needed a lot of structure bringing to it. Basic structure, simple structure. Lot of like staff needed aligning, and that first 6 months in that job, with all the changes we went through, with in terms of like aligning the foundation phase, the youth development phase, the professional development phase, and aligning all the staff and restructuring the sort of 16 and 19s program, the 21s team. Doing all of that was a real challenge, and it was like firefighting a lot, and with staff and with parents, and I don't miss that period.
And how did you find a solution for that?
Just stuck to what we believed in. We knew where we wanted to get to. I had a good friend who helped me, Ross White, in with me, and we knew what the end looked like and what it needed to look like, and we stuck at it, and yeah, we got there in the end, really.
What's your biggest piece of advice for a young coach that's trying to develop as a coach?
Yeah, just coach. Just get on coach. There's no magic answer, really. If you're sat at home watching videos and reels and building your brand on social media and all that, it's great, but if you don't coach and network and get to know clubs and get to know people, you're gonna find it hard down the line. Like anything, you're building a CV for a player and building a CV for a coach are very similar in that respect. I would say as well, like I've obviously got my last 3 or 4 jobs. I've got I knew people in the clubs already. And that is predominantly because I've either played against them, I've networked, I've coached, so you just got to coach.
Do you think you're obsessed with football?
Well, I think my partner would probably say I was. I think it's certainly I do watch a lot of it. I don't think do you know what? I probably would say yes, but then I spend time with some other people, and I think, wow, they are obsessed with football, and I'm not as obsessed as them. Like I find, I did like a B license tutor event the other day, and I was on that event, and I was like, wow, God, I don't know a lot. I felt like, wow, do you know what I mean? I get those moments quite often, and probably feel like I should probably watch or do more. But yeah,
it's interesting because I want to talk about like being one of the last topics, like being obsessed with football, because I think I speak to a lot of players that have been pro and they say, yeah, I'm obsessed, like what you drink, what you eat, and like coaches are saying, like, I can't switch off from football and think about team selection, how to manage, because when you're a player, you just go, turn up, play, go home. When you're a manager, you're thinking, oh, is this substitution or this team selection? So how do you struggle with like being able to disconnect from work?
Yeah, good question. So I think like probably when I went in at Aldershot, so I was at Aldershot, obviously did the 21s, and I probably got to a point where my life was like, had a good work-life balance, and was in a sort of like good place of like gym, looking after myself, coaching, managing the academy, doing the 21s. But then I think the first team stuff just consumed me really. You can't stop thinking about it. But I think coming out of that, probably I've been better for it. Like my life now, as much as it is football, I am really good at switching off. I think probably.
How do you switch off? For someone that doesn't know how to.
Yeah, I play my PlayStation. I watch football, but from a fan's perspective. I don't watch much like TV series or things like that, but I'll watch a film. I'll go to the cinema, go to the gym. I do enjoy going to the gym and lifting weights and doing that type of stuff. And I just think I'm much better for it. It's probably easier said than done, and we do have some like rough moments and stuff. But I think, like I said, coming out of Aldershot probably helped me being able to deal with that better. It's hard, isn't it, switching off?
I really struggle with switching off, to be fair. That's something that I really struggle with, especially with the time difference in the US. Like players, parents, especially at youth football level, there's a lot of things people don't really think about switching off. I haven't really found a solution for it.
I was going to ask you, do you go to the gym and stuff? Or
the biggest thing for me is being organised. If I am organised and I know what I need to do, then I don't get overwhelmed. The worst thing, or the thing I struggle with, is when I'm not organised. So I don't have a to-do list. I'm like, who do I need to message? Or I was going to reply to this person. Like, for example, today I've got like 3 episodes and I won't check my phone and I'll have 50 messages. And then I'm a bit like overwhelmed because I've got a lot of people to reply to. I'm used to it now. But the worst thing is when like someone asks me, hey Sam, you said you were going to do this and I didn't do it. Then I feel responsible. But if I have it on my to-do list, like, I'm going to get to it today, no worries. Or try and think like 2-3 days ahead and plan ahead. That's how I don't switch off, but also football for me is like a hobby. Like I'm playing Football Manager in real life. So it's like a video game. So I used to get overwhelmed and kind of think about it, but then I'm like, I stopped drinking alcohol. That helped me a lot. So I use my weekend to like be ready, be organised. Basically, as long as I'm organised, that's how I kind of switch off, and then I can do other things. But I can never
there's a lot worse things we could be doing. I stand in like the middle of a pitch most of my every day. Like I'm stood in the middle of an 11v11 football pitch, and I'm like, I've got mates. I've got mates who are like sparkies and plumbers and plasterers, and I'm like, it's hard.
Grateful.
You got it's a privilege to do what we do. But that being said, everyone is a football coach and a football manager. Like people will always want to talk tactics and question what you're doing, and I think that's probably like the hardest thing, like of like, oh, you should do this, you should do that,
you have no idea what happened the last week. You have no idea what I think about this player. This player said to me.
Correct.
That's true. Dealing with opinions, and imagine if you're Aldershot and you've got 10,000 fans too.
And the people are like saying it is like, do you not think I don't care? Like, do you think I'm trying to like get sacked here? I'm not trying to get sacked here. I'm trying my best. Like, I'm trying to do what is right for the club. But it doesn't really, like, I pick it that way. Like I remember we used to have like games where like we didn't have any players, or like you'd have so many injuries, and you just put them on the bench to fill the bench because you didn't want to like take like 2 subs, and everyone would be battering. You're like, why is he not playing? You're like, well, he's not even fit.
No.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Ross, listen, I got 5 quick-fire questions. for you
Yeah,
just
go
to
on.
end.
Yeah.
First one.
Yeah.
Best player you've ever coached against?
Against, so Dobra, Chesterfield, it's got to be, I think. Excellent player, like left winger, inside 10, very clever, can win a game like that.
One quality every pro must have.
Dealing with failure.
Go-to formation.
4-3-3, 4-2-3-1.
Who's the toughest manager you've faced?
Do you know what, a random one? Gary Johnson at Torquay. I know probably Torquay fans will think, oh my God, like not many people have said that, but we were flying. I think we won our first 3 games, and we went down to Torquay like bouncing, and it was windy, it was wet, and he absolutely done us and beat us 6-1, and he was on it. So Gary Johnson, without a shadow of a doubt, experienced.
And lastly, one piece of advice you'd give to your younger coaching self?
Yeah, just coach more. Put yourself out there. I think I've got to a point in my life where I'm sort of like, I just do things now. Like if people ask me to put a session on, I wouldn't hesitate. If I've got the time, obviously, I wouldn't hesitate to do it. Whereas I think my younger self would have been a bit nervous or a bit apprehensive, or I don't want to do this, I don't think I should do that, or I'm too good for that, or this and that. Just go and coach, just go and get better.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ross, thank you so much for your time.
No,
I really
thank you.
appreciate it. That was a really interesting episode. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
And guys, we'll tag Ross's Instagram if you learned something, or if you think there was a topic that's interesting, or you have any questions. Like Ross said, he's on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So pop him a message. But yeah, thank you so much, Ross, for your time. That was amazing.
Thank you very much. Cheers.